What's up, everybody? Jackson here today with my little brother Chubbz.
Hello, everyone.
And if you didn't know, we like World of Warcraft. It's a huge part of our lives. We've played a lot of WoW. We kind of stepped away at the tail end of Cataclysm when they cookie cut the talent trees and things. There were too many things taking place and changes taking place. And this sort of futility when it came to PvP, which had become, after we had played the shit out of the PvE con, it had kind of become our reason to play. And it just got ridiculous having to grind that rank every season, and just it became like it was no longer fun for us. We'd seen everything the game had to offer, was no longer fun for us. Recently, our little brother Chris got us the Battle for Azeroth expansion. It came with all previous expansions. We were able to play through all the stuff that we missed. I didn't get a chance to play through Pandaria. You played a little bit of it.
Yeah, well, it's because with the BFA edition, it gave you that character boost.
Yeah.
You know, boost any character.
Leveling characters in World of Warcraft since the cookie cutter tree that they added at the tail end of Kata, it's become boring.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very, very fucking boring. Even more so now where they remove the need to go talk to trainers. The game is completely different now. Either way, we were able to play through some of the content packs. One thing I've noticed is World of Warcraft has a problem. And Blizzard has a problem, and that's Activision. Now, when you look at Activision and the way that they dole out games and content, there's no better example than Destiny. And fucking Destiny releases what would be considered like a $30 game on Steam with Destiny 1. Then they sell a season pass, which, let's face it, wasn't worth $35. And then on top of that, a Taken King expansions. On top of that, a Rise of Iron expansions. Basically, what Destiny did was a very clever way of drip feeding content to the community, time locking it off, so that you have to spend so much time playing through this content before, and then right when people are about to get sick of it, here's a new thing. It's this sort of a thing isn't a problem, in my opinion. I look at Destiny as a problem because it was what it was.
Right.
But if Destiny had been grander on scale, had more interesting, unique ideas, had a lot more, intricacies to the grind, if it had more things, I'm not opposed. So let's say this. I'm not opposed to a game that comes in waves.
Right.
As long as each wave is worth it and legitimate.
Oh,
and I don't think that you could find any better example than World of Warcraft. But when you look at what vanilla was, all the updates throughout vanilla, and then what BC was, and all of the updates through BC, what Wrath of the Lich King was, and all of the updates through Wrath of the Lich King, it always felt like it was building on this game. They were time locking certain things.
Right.
But it was things that made sense, and it always felt like right when you hit that point where you're about to run out of things to do, something new came along that made a difference, that made an impact. And so my initial feelings with Battle for Azeroth were very good because I really liked the zones that I quested through on Horde side. I really liked Zoldazar. I really liked Vol'dun. I really liked, what was the other one? Nazmir. I really liked these areas. Really liked the stories. It still had that WoW quirkiness within quests. It had pop culture references out the ass, because let's face it, the Zandalar trolls are no more than fucking Black Panther.
Right.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Wakanda?
Yeah,
Wakanda forever?
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, Wakanda forever. The Zandalar trolls say Zandalar forever.
Oh, yeah.
And they're behind that mist wall that is broken through when you get through with the princess who brings you there to introduce the faction and the race.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're going through there, it's like they've been walling themselves off from the rest of the world, just looking after themselves.
They're
and
crazy advanced for the rest of the trolls, and it's because of this magical power that they get from the Loa instead of like an alien meteorite.
Like a special metal.
Yeah, something that they found.
Yeah, that advanced, because in Black Panther, it was like, that was like a super, really good fuel source, basically. And because they had like that amount of energy, they were able to advance away from the rest of the world farther than the rest of the world had, because the rest of the world was still using fossil fuels and shit. which you can only get you so far. And so this is very much like that. Very much like that, because when you talk about like Vol'jin, he himself was said to be contacted by a Loa. He himself, like, he's probably going to become a Loa within this expansion and do like God mode thrall shit again. Anyway, but the point is that my initial reactions to this content pack were good, were positive, right? And that lasted about as long as it took me to hit the end game. So about 2 weeks. I'd say within 2 weeks, I had this boosted Orc Warrior to the end game. And in the end game, right then, they dropped the, what are they called? The War Fronts?
Oh, yeah.
They dropped the first War Front, which is a Stromguard. And War Front, when I'm going to explain it to them, to those who haven't played it, maybe those that have just played it's basically Warcraft 3, but you're on the ground floor. And that sounds awesome. When I tell you that, imagine Warcraft 3 in third person, with you being one of the peons and one of the soldiers who has to go out and gather resources, come back, deliver it. Imagine you're that in that role, and that it sounds so much better than it is in practice. On paper, this idea seems like it should be fucking amazing. And then you do it and you realize that it's just boring after doing it one time. And then Blizzard goes and makes it the most efficient way to gear a fresh 120.
Oh, yeah.
Once you hit 120, the best way to get gear, bar none, isn't raiding, isn't running heroic fucking dungeons, it isn't doing anything. It's running Warfront if Warfront is available. And Warfront comes for a set limited time, and then it flips back to the opposite faction. The Alliance will have it. Then you have to donate things as a horde. It's a way fucking awesome, more awesome
cool
sounding.
Idea.
Yeah,
it's a cool idea. It sounds like a cool idea, is what I should say.
It's implemented poorly.
Yeah, because it takes how long? Like upwards of an hour to complete 2 hours?
Yeah.
Like,
it takes too long to complete one. What Chris said really, I think, hit the nail on the head. He's like, this is unfinished content, in my opinion. Because this is a fucking, like, expansion pass, or an expansion that's predicated on this whole war versus the Alliance versus the Horde. That's all of the fucking marketing. That's all of the story in the game, is you're at war with them. Of course, there's their own thing within the zone. There's the the Zandalari troll trouble. There's, the Voldunai trouble. There's all these little different stories. And I'm assuming, I didn't play through the Alliance shit, but I'm assuming it's the same way on the Alliance. That there's, but overall of that, the overarching marketing push, the the war mode revamp to the PvP system, all of these things are building this to be a very player versus player expansion. And the Warfront, which is us versus the Alliance, Alliance versus Horde, has no enemy players in it. The fuck? My solution... So, you start a match of Warfront, you jump in off of an airship, you parachute in, you take your initial camp from an enemy commander. After that commander is attacked, you then have to go to 2 locations, the lumber mill, which you have to capture, and the mines, which you have to capture. Once you've captured these areas, you can find wood by cutting down trees, picking up stacks that are on the ground that NPC peons leave laying around, and same with the mine. You grab the iron from the mine, the lumber from there, and you bring it back and you upgrade your base the same way you would in Warcraft fucking 3. You upgrade your Great Hall to a stronghold. Yeah. You upgrade, you got to build an Altar of Storms. You got to build, like, all of the key things, the barracks, so that you can train NPC troops to fight with you.
And every single thing does something different. So the Altar of Storms actually will give you buffs that you can buy with those resources. The barracks, like you just said, you recruit troops that actually go through the area with you that will help you. And it's like spear throwers or like shamans and stuff.
And in order to get the shaman, so the whole point of this is it feels like there's 3 lanes in the thing. It feels like a MOBA. It looks like a MOBA map. There's 3 lanes. There are NPC pushing from your end and NPCs pushing from their end. You have to go up these 3 tracks, and as you expand up, you're going to capture like the Ring of Storms, and that's going to give you mastery over the elements so that you can train shamans that will heal you in battle. You're going to capture the right lane, which is the ranch or something?
Yeah.
It's basically where you're able to get livestock, so that's how you're able to train beast riders. That's how you're able to yourself mount up on a Kodo, which is very fun, and I'm sure on the Lion side, I don't know what it is on the Lion side.
Yeah.
But then up the middle is more like the straight path that you need to take in order to take down the fucking base.
Yeah, they even have like towers and stuff to defend the points.
And so you're basically pushing from where Arathi, what was that? The battleground.
The Arathi Highlands?
Well, yeah, it's in the Arathi Highlands, but that...
Gromgok?
It's in Arathi Basin, actually, isn't it? Either way, this is the war front that we've played. It feels like it would make more sense if there was a fucking Alliance pushback.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or Horde pushback if you're on Alliance. That's the way it should be. And it should be set up in a way that the players don't have to gather the iron. They just have to hold on to the point. So as long as they control the mines, their faction is getting a steady supply of iron, so that the opposing faction has to come in and try to take it. And you have to do that on the lumber mill. You have to do that with all of the key places in order to train the higher end troops. And all of it happening while the player is versus the player. Yeah. Because this is fucking Battle for Azeroth, Horde versus Alliance.
Yeah, and it matters. That was the big campaign.
It matters.
It matters what side you pick.
But it doesn't fucking matter, because no matter what side you're on, you're just fighting NPC fucking AI.
You're pushing up to a NPC boss.
And once you do this, and once you finish this, it's just... So it takes so long. The first few times you're like, yeah, this is fun, this is fun, this is fun. I'd say by about the 4th time I was sick of it. And I was getting angrier and angrier that I hadn't got a weapon drop yet, because getting weapons in BFA is fucking stupid.
Oh yeah. Getting gear in BFA, getting what you want.
There was 2 heroic dungeons that I could run to get upgraded weapons, and only 2 bosses. So I had to run an entire dungeon and have a chance at the weapon I needed on 1 boss. And there were only 2 dungeons I could do that in. And 2 bosses. So I was running those over and over again. Went around the war front, was getting immediately endgame fucking tier gear. 340 fucking gear. Right out of the gate. Endgame shit that'll get you enough to where you can run the raid easily on normal.
Oh yeah.
If you're not a fucking retard. Easily on normal. And so... This whole battlefront, warfront, it's a fucking thing that it cycles around and it comes, and it's like something that not a lot of people are interested in, but it's the best thing in this fucking Tides of Vengeance drop.
Yeah, and that's what really bugs me, is because remember what I was saying when we were doing the war fronts, and I was looking in the achievements, and I saw the bosses were what? Trollbane,
a bunch of different ones.
Bronzebeard, there was the
achievements
Night Elf
that are located in the game that you basically can't get.
Oh yeah, but I was sitting there looking at one in specific. It said do the battlefront or the war front in these separate maps. And so, remember what I said to you? I said, I guarantee you that every time we do this, every time it comes up, it'll be a different map with a different boss.
And it should be.
It should have been.
That would have made this Warfront so much more interesting, not having to do the fucking same Battle for Stromgarde, Battle for Stromgarde, Battle for Stromgarde.
Yeah, with the different bosses, which is another thing which is really weird. They had the separate bosses, but they took away the arena. So it makes sense that you're fighting against Night Elves in the Darkshore map.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that you're fighting against the fucking Night Elves in Arathi Highlands. It makes sense that you're fighting against the humans there. You know what I mean?
But it doesn't make and dwarfs.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's the thing: this content drop, the survival, the Tides of Vengeance. This Tides of Vengeance content drop, which is the next big thing, it happened either today or yesterday. I can't remember. But the big deal about it was it's bringing new stuff to freshen up the game. Well, the best thing on this, bar none, at least in my opinion, is the new Warfront. That's it for me. Like, that's what looks good to me. That's what's going to be fun. And all it is going to be that same fucking bullshit where it cycles around. So you're not even going to be able to play this for a week at a time.
Yeah.
Like, the Alliance will control this for a week at a time, and then you're going to have 2 or 3 days where your faction's able to deliver the necessary materials and shit to initiate the activity. And then from that moment on, you're going to have it for a week, and Alliance won't.
And try running it
This
on a
is
loop.
severely punishing to players who are not at max level on both sides of the fucking aisle.
Yeah.
If you are Horde, there's an entire week of activity that you could be taking place in on Alliance that you can't fucking take place in. If you're on Alliance, there's a whole week worth of fucking content that you paid for that's restricted to you because you're on the Alliance side. Mm-hmm. So battle, and the thing is about it is that it's going to be fun 1 or 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
Then you're going to have the fill of the map. Everything's going to be the same. It's going to be generic AI, and it's honestly just going to feel more of a number crunch than anything else. Well, do we have enough iron to upgrade this? Because once we upgrade that, our troops will have this much more upgrades, and then it'll be able to damage them more, and then it'll be easier to take these bases in these 3 lanes in a linear fashion. That leaves really it's just the same way the battle folds out every time. There's no difference to it. You fucking capture the points, you get more troops added to your army, you push up the lanes, and then finally it culminates at the enemy boss in the enemy stronghold. Big fucking whoop. And that's the best fucking thing from this Tides of Vengeance. Faction assault is the next thing.
Invaders into your territory.
That's not really what it is. So, from what I understand, so there were these things during Legion that I didn't play during the peak of Legion. Me and Chubbz got a little taste of the end game on a couple of, what are they called?
Demon Hunters.
Yeah, me and Chubbz leveled Demon Hunters together, and so we played through all the Legion stuff. We hit the end game. We stayed there, we didn't move on to the BFA stuff yet. We stayed in Legion, and we just kept doing Legion dailies and stuff just to get an idea of what that end game was like. Way better than fucking BFA. I'm gonna say that. So in that, they had these Legion portals that would pop up. You'd have to go in, fight waves of fucking enemies, and then finally culminating at a big badass demon boss. We weren't able to complete this because no one else was there, but from what I understand, this is normally a thing where a bunch of players, since it's the end game, everyone's doing these things, they'd be jumping in there with you. So it'd just be kind of a raid that just forms on its own.
Right.
Kinda. And so, kind of like the world bosses. So, the thing about this is, it's already something that happened, and it's the same thing, except for this time, if you're marked in war mode, there'll be enemy players. So it's a step in the right direction because it's adding PvP to these things, and but it's all about faction assault. So it's if it might happen on your side, and if it does happen on your side, you'll have different objectives. But if it happens on their side, and the thing is they go away and then they come back and then they go away. So you have to basically keep checking your map to see where they're coming from, where they're going to be, and then you got to get there, and then you got to enter it, and here's the thing about these is, I'm sick of fucking world quests, and all these are fucking world quests.
Yeah.
It's a world quest to go do something for the Horde against the Alliance, but that's what it is.
Oh yeah.
It's a world quest, right? And yeah, there's PvP in it, but big deal. There's PvP in all the world quests. Because if I'm flagged in war mode and I come across someone who is also flagged in war mode, then it's PvP in a world quest. So all you're doing is adding extra world quests. And the rewards, I guarantee, will not be worth it. They'll feel grindy. It'll feel like you're climbing a tree with both your hands tied behind your back and your fucking goddamn shitty hiking boots on or something. It's going to feel a struggle. You're going to feel the struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what this Activision does, is they enter the picture and they start to make it drip feedy so that you think that you're accomplishing a lot, but really you're accomplishing nothing. Nothing. Because all you're doing is fighting a fucking rat will, trying to get a piece of cheese that will only come to you when the system's broke, when the will breaks.
Yeah.
And you're able to fucking bust out of this cage and get the cheese. But the will is there to keep you occupied, keep you thinking.
To keep you playing.
Yeah. And they give you little things here's a little upgrade every now and then. Here's a little upgrade every now and then. So that you think you're accomplishing something, but really you're not.
Yeah.
Really you're not. And let's face it, that's how WoW has kind of always been.
But there's been more to it, which is another thing.
It's content.
there was crafting. There was like you actually bought shit with your gold so that you felt like there was more goals than just getting gear for the raid. Like you wanted to get your dual spec, so you needed millions of gold for that.
Well, there was massive potential too in crafting to make a lot of gold. And now it doesn't feel like that way.
At all.
It feels like it's a slog to even make decent amount of gold. Except for in the beginning of content drops or whatever, where there is that boost of the number. If you can make something will get people to the top faster, you're definitely going to make a lot of gold.
Sell.
That's like what Chris did. Yeah, that you can sell. You're going to make some gold. The problem there is that after a while, when the dust settles and everyone's hit the end game, people aren't going to spend a lot of gold for gear to gear alts.
Right.
And their mains are already there. Their mains are already at the end. They have better shit than anything in crafting could possibly fucking compete with. I mean, I had a plan for like a fucking 355 chest piece that I got a 370 in like one of the first war fronts I ran.
Yeah.
So like that was my big end game piece of gear that I could make. And not only is it fucking 355, it's also soulbound. It's also soulbound.
So you can't even sell
I can't even sell it.
And you see, they nerf things like that. Like I went jewel crafting, and they nerfed the gems, so there really is no need to buy more gems once you get them all. Because
there's this. It's the stat. So back in the day, you could stack stats. So you could be like plus 10 strength, plus 10 strength, plus 10 strength if you're a strength character.
Right.
In this one, they say no, you only get one of those.
Yep.
You can only use one of those high-end gems. So jewel crafters at that point have no incentive to fucking even sell it.
Yeah.
Because, like, people are going to buy one per character, and they're only going to buy one per character if they have a piece of gear that's worth slotting that, item.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you'll get people who have alts that'll buy them, but they're never going to sell for the same amount as they will in that initial when they're buying that shit for their main and a fucking endgame piece of gear.
Oh, yeah. But
those
even
are the people
then, the endgame gear, not a lot of it drops with gem slots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe 3, 4 overall
Well,
gear.
they've done this thing now, too, with Azeroth, where one of the other fucking goddamn things from this expansion.
Island Expeditions!
Oh, there's 2 new islands added to Island Expeditions.
Yay!
I'm going to tell you right now, if you're someone who loves Island Expeditions, you're in the supreme minority, my friend. It doesn't get more niche than the player who enjoys running those over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
Because Island Expeditions are boring as fuck, and you do them weekly to get the cap, and then you're done.
Yep.
Like, we always
Because
did it
that's
on, like,
only...
fucking Monday night.
Yeah.
Right before reset, because fuck it.
Yeah, because all that's really rewarding is filling up that Azeroth cap and getting, like, 2,500. It was quite a bit for the Azeroth.
That's one of the things they've added is, so this Azeroth, the way it works now, it's much like the way that the Legion weapons worked, but simpler. So the way it works is you have a necklace, the Heart of Azeroth, and this will level up with you with Azerite. You can't level it with experience. And once you get a certain amount of Azerite, it'll level up, and then, the item level increases. But more importantly, the gear you get in your head, shoulders, and chest now have Azerite powers associated with them. You open up a second tree. It looks just like a skill tree. You're able to pick one, I think up to 4.
Yeah, 1 of 4.
Well, 1 of 3. But I think that you get to do it 4 times. So you'll get 4 powers on the end game gear.
Yeah.
Like, I think 340 stuff is still only giving you 3 things. But then and the last one isn't even really a power. It's an item level upgrade.
Yeah.
So if it's 345 and you unlock that 3rd tier of Azerite power, it now is 345.
Yeah, it goes up. Yeah, it goes up 5.
It's literally just adjusting your fucking gear level.
Yeah.
By 5 points, which doesn't even average out to be shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't average out to be shit on your overall average of your gear. So, fucking numbers. When did it all become about this number?
It was all about numbers.
And it's bullshit, because that number is everything. It's difficulty, it's everything. One fucking number is difficulty, it's everything. It's not about what stats you prioritize. That'll see your DPS go up for sure if you're building the right way and doing the right things.
Certain things will be easier.
Nothing will help your overall damage. Nothing will help your overall survivability. Nothing will help any of that shit more than just a fucking goddamn gear score number.
Yep. And do you remember when that was implemented? I think it was implemented in Wrath of the Lich King.
It was around in Wrath, but it wasn't that. It wasn't.
It was
like
modded.
This.
It was.
It
like,
wasn't like
it was
this.
an add-on. It was an add-on that you downloaded. It wasn't even added into the game.
Yeah, it just averaged out your item level, and it was more for people who wanted to pick characters who were better geared. It had nothing to do with your gear. Like, your gear still had your stats on it.
Right.
You still had to get those faction enchantments.
Oh,
you
yeah.
still had to buy, gems from a jewel crafter.
Every little thing added to that overall number
All
that was
mattered.
just a fan add-on.
Yeah, it wasn't, the number was just the item level of the gear. Yeah. Because there were item levels, because there has to be item levels so you know what's good.
So you can differentiate.
So you can say, oh, well, a level, 20 piece of gear that's item level 71 is going to be garbage compared to this level 80, sword that's whatever number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of how it averaged out. So the gear score was an add-on, like you said, that people would check when building raids, because that would determine how good your gear was. But that didn't determine how good you were. Because if you weren't spec'd into the right talents, if you didn't have the correct glyphs, if you didn't have the correct enchantments on all of your gear, if you didn't have the correct gems throughout all of your gear, you could have a best gear score in the world. You could build it all wrong like a dumbass and be shit.
Yep.
The skill gap was real. You could tell who knew what the fuck they were doing and who was just there to fucking dance with people.
Yep.
You could tell. And if you went, and the way it's now is that it's simplified down to the point where they don't trust players to go out and have the intelligence to look at builds if people are building, or to just look within the game, because all the information was there. You could scroll over your intellect and be like, oh, well, that's increasing my spell crit and my fucking, overall intelligence is increasing my mana. Like, that's probably what I should build if I'm healing.
Yeah.
Sure, haste is good, but that's what I should... And then you look at... If you're a druid and you look at haste and you go, oh, increases the frequency of your spells. So that's going to increase my, life bloom.
Over time.
My healing over time.
It's going to hit more often.
Maybe I should build haste. You know what I mean? And each character class, each thing like that had different spells that made them unique. Everything feels the same now. Shamans feel like rogues. Rogues feel like druids. Druids feel like fucking warriors. Warriors feel like, it all feels the same.
Oh, yeah.
It all feels the same.
Paladins even feel kind of like rogues.
It's just, and the thing is it's not necessarily a bad thing to streamline this, because in my opinion, combat's a lot more fun and engaging. Like, I actually enjoyed going DPS this time around, when I was always typically a healer. Because DPS to me just felt like so much busy work, managing all these different cooldowns, doing all these things. You have to work with procs. It felt a lot more daunting to me personally than healing. I liked healing. I liked seeing the graph and seeing all my friends and allies' life. And I loved being able to be the one who can say at the end, none of you motherfuckers would have done shit if I wasn't here to keep y'all alive. Because every single one of you died almost 20 times.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I enjoyed in that expansion. It was funner to me. In this expansion, playing a warrior, I was going to go tank. Because I also enjoyed tanking on my warrior back in Wrath and early Kata. And so, because that's also very fun. It's also something you have to do. It's a very important role. You have to have a good tank. If you don't have a good tank, the entire party falls apart as quickly as if you didn't have a good healer. As quickly as if you didn't have good DPS, who know how to stand out of shit, know how to maximize that damage via all the cooldown management. And now, it doesn't feel like that at all. Like, I'm not going to say the raid doesn't feel like that. The raid definitely has this touch of, like, you have to pay attention still. Until the final boss, when it comes down to a couple of people to do basically everything on the fight. Like a Destiny raid, which I love that Chris pointed that out. He was like, this raid is like a Destiny raid, bro. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because it was when we were first going to run it. And he said, the end boss, which we didn't run at first because we were running through the raid finder just to get a grip of the raid and figure out how...
the first couple of bosses.
Yeah, get a feeling for that. And they only had raid... Wing 1 open at the time, so you couldn't run all the bosses. But he was telling us about Gahoon, and how Gahoon feels like a Destiny boss, because Destiny raids didn't trust the whole group to be good. And you think about the fights in Destiny that really required the whole group to be good, and they were almost always a disaster. See Atheon versus Crota. for example.
Oh yeah.
See, the bridge encounter versus Crota, where Crota was much easier because a couple of dudes were all you needed to do those things that you needed to be done. Everyone else just needs to stand up here, kill anything down there, and then when that shield goes down, hit him with your rockets, right? And World of Warcraft now is becoming like Destiny because it doesn't trust the whole 6 people. And in that instance, Destiny, it's 6 people. Right? It doesn't trust 6 people to keep it together enough to be able to complete something. So it simplifies it down to make one person important. See, like, what's that one with the shield where you have to have the shield? That's one person. The whole party is depending on one person. Like, one person is the key to victory. And World of Warcraft, the Gahoon raid is no different. Because on Gahoon, all you need is a couple, like 2 or 4. I know that 2 players can do it if there's a warlock present. You get both sides, you run down, you get this orb, you insert the orb into this thing. Once you do that so many times, a cleansing beam of light will fuck up Gahoon, lower his defenses, and allow everyone else to burn him down real fast. That's the raid. It comes down to 2 people, potentially 4.
Pulling this off.
Potentially 4, 2 people that the entire 25-man, 15-man, 10-man raid depends upon.
Yep.
And that's and it's not only in that, it's also when you look at like gear, like you were saying, where now it's like, okay, you upgrade this fucking necklace, which seems like it should be a cool idea to gain outside powers. Until you find out that aside from the war mode talents, which are honestly just recycled old talents from the regular skill tree when it used to be badass.
Yeah, which are only added in open world PvP, by the way.
You don't get access to any of these things in dungeons, in raids, in battlegrounds. In battlegrounds!
Yeah,
in
the PvP.
In the PvP battleground.
You don't get your PvP talents. Okay.
Fucking genius, Blizzard. Fucking genius.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get it in the Warfront activity despite the lack of any other players. What, are they thinking you're going to have an unfair advantage against the raid? Like, what is the decision behind that? So war mode talents that are only because they don't want it to conflict with people who turn war mode off.
Right.
Oh, well, fuck those pussies if they have access to less of a game than me. I've got the balls to flag myself for PvP and get ganked by 6 little Alliance bitch asses while I'm just trying to complete a world quest to gain 75 rep towards the 21,000 that I need in your broken, grindy mess of a bullshit expansion.
Just to unlock a race.
Just to unlock a race that starts at level 20 in fucking Orgrimmar after a 30-minute fucking quest. Good fucking game, Blizzard. You reskinned the fuck out of that fucking race. And you made me work for a month to get it, and you made it ultimately not even fucking worth it.
Because now you have to grind through vanilla to
you
get
have to
to
grind
fucking
through
the
all
next
the shit
one.
you've already done because we're too goddamn lazy to build a starting zone for this starting race, even though several already exist. Oh, Maghar orcs, let's not start them in Draenor. Let's not start them in Outlands. Let's just start them at level 20 in fucking Orgrimmar. And then they can go from there to Ashenvale, a zone they've done 100 times by now.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, dude.
Grind
fucking
through it all
hell.
again for a new passive. Like these
That's
are
it,
like,
a new passive.
That is all
it's
it
a
does.
new racial passive. They have new armor,
Jokes?
endgame cosmetic armor.
Yeah.
They don't, I guess they do tell jokes.
I don't know. I was trying
But
like a dance to see if the dances
like, the
were
Maghar orcs are reskinned Maghar.
Oh yeah.
The fucking, what are the Nightborn?
Nightborn.
The Nightborn are reskinned Night Elves. The fucking Void Elves, they're reskinned Blood Elves. Like, that's all they did. They reskinned these races. And then they still haven't released the 2 that were the promotional race.
Yeah.
The Koltirans and the Zandalari Trolls. Right? You can't play those yet because we're time gating those. You'll get those when you've paid for our fucking monthly expansion for the next 5 years.
Yep.
Because now it's Destiny, but instead of selling you the expansion, you're getting the expansion for free, but you have to pay $15 to keep going.
Every month. And then, or alternatively, 100,000 gold.
Which requires you for days in game farming.
Yep.
Because now
To
none
play
of the
nothing
things.
but this.
Because now you're grinding gold at a fucking stale rate because the auction house has fucking settled.
Bottomed out.
It's all bottomed out because everyone's hit the end game.
Because there is no incentive.
These resources are fucking
Yeah.
bountiful. Everyone has all of these things. It's very rare that you get anything that you can sell. And almost always, the things that I were able to get that sold above like 25,000 gold, like not even that. I think the one sold for 25. Usually I was selling the shit I crafted for 750 gold, right? So in contrast, I sold an item that sold for 25,000 gold. All it was a transmog. A cosmetic fucking transmog item for gear.
Yep.
That's still worth a lot of money.
Yep.
Weird how the best-selling thing in your auction house is a cosmetic item. Blizzard has officially imploded upon itself.
Oh, yeah.
I swear to fucking God. After playing this expansion, seeing the simplified down classes, seeing the simplified down mechanics, seeing everything that goes on, seeing that all they're doing with other things is a remaster of Warcraft 3, a mobile clone of Diablo, a fucking goddamn
Vanilla server.
and a vanilla server, re-releasing everything over again. Oh, I forgot about Overwatch's holiday skin items. I forgot about the almighty Overwatch fucking holiday event. Loot boxes, cosmetics, all it is. All it is.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. Here's this event that's literally cosmetic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
We are as plastic and fake as these fucking skins.
And that's like part of the thing. Heritage armor. That's probably just cosmetics for those different races.
Blizzard used to be a company that innovated. Blizzard used to be a company that changed
It didn't
shit.
feel this
World
way.
of Warcraft used to,
Yeah.
World of Warcraft was a landmark fucking
Yeah,
open world
it-
MMO.
It used to not feel this way. I mean, you would like hit max level, for example, in Wrath of the Lich King, and you felt like you actually had to run regular dungeons to get the highest amount of level you could get,
Well,
or
you
you
had-
could grind
Yeah.
reputations,
You had
or
to be
you could
building. You had to be building the right talents. You
Well,
had
yeah.
to be doing that, and that's the
But
thing. It's
think
like
about
when,
the different avenues of getting gear, even in Cataclysm, right? Cataclysm was kind of the same way as Wrath of the Lich King, but minus the dumbed down talent tree system, where like you could build stuff, you could
Yeah.
craft stuff, you could like go farm stuff, you could build reputations.
Well, I
I
liked reputation mattering because in fucking Battle for Azeroth, reputation means nothing.
It doesn't.
By the time you get to the point where you can purchase a piece of gear that would be an upgrade for your character via Revered with the faction, by the time you hit Revered, you're not going to need anything that fucking faction has to sell you. It's not, and the only thing that's going to matter is when you get exalted and you buy a mount, another cosmetic item. The only reason, and a pet, I guess, if you're into Pokemon. But the fucking thing is that that's the thing. Like, hitting max level and hitting max reputation with a faction at level mattered.
Oh yeah.
It mattered.
Oh yeah.
There was more than just mounts.
The rewards that it gave you, like the Sons of Hodir rep in Wrath of the Lich King, that was your main shoulder enchant, which is what you wanted for Wrath of the Ice Crown Citadel raid, you know?
Yeah.
You wanted that shit. That shit was like important, and you had to grind Exalted with them, but it was the most overpowered enchant that you could get on your shoulders.
It was the only one.
It was the only one.
There were some like that with other things, and then there were well, unless you were a leather crafter, I think leather workers were able to
put something on it.
But even then, those weren't as good,
Once
and you
again-
had to have max level leatherworking
Yeah.
in order to use those.
But once again, it goes back to like what I was saying. There's multiple different avenues that would lead you and funnel you into this endgame system, which was raids, battlegrounds, PvP, PvE, or factions, whatever you want to
And
call
you
it.
could not get there with being a fucking idiot. Once you got in a raid group with people that had all the right stuff, that had all the right things, all the right talents, you could tell a difference immediately.
Oh yeah.
Damage wouldn't stand in fucking AoE boss area damage. Tanks knew what the fuck they were doing. Because these are the people who understood how to get to this point.
Oh yeah.
There was a filter that didn't allow anyone to get there. World of Warcraft now just throws you a number.
Yep.
Just like fucking Destiny. It throws you a number, and that's the best way to fucking become better at that game is to get a better number.
Yep.
That's the best way to get better in Destiny is just get a better number.
With a monotonous activity, which I dare you, run that on a loop. Just run the Warfront on a loop. You would fucking you would fall asleep. That's how boring that shit is. But that is the most efficient way to get yourself to that level of running raids.
Yeah.
And once you get, like, those are easy because it's 40 different people.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be, like, doing everything that your character's supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have 15...
Well, there's people that would be in there, they'd be AFK.
Oh, yeah. There's, like, 15 people, really, who could just do all of this and push up to the boss and win it.
Easy.
And if there's like 40 people.
I'd say you could do it with 15 people.
Oh, yeah.
10 people.
But there's 40 different slots for this. Yeah. So you don't have to be the best at what you're supposed to do.
And this is bar none the best way to get gear.
Yeah, and it doesn't
outside of raids.
Yeah, and it doesn't train you for anything in the PvE content.
Even then, I got 370 gear out of this Warfront mode. And I think the highest level I got out of that was a 355 belt. And that was from running Mythic +4 dungeons. Mythic +4 dungeons.
Which is, dude, the freaking gear drops, by the way, and the item level is all over the place. Like,
it's garbage.
It's
running Destiny.
Yeah, you're running something that you feel should be a clear progression and should drop a certain number.
They even added the ability to eat the fucking legendary gear and turn it into fucking crafting shit, right? That you can then sell.
Expulse them.
Yeah, expulse them, which you can't sell, but I'm talking about like the gear, like if you turn plate gear into this salvage machine. You'll get, like ore. You'll get the ore of current expansion. So they literally turned the gear just like Diablo 3 did, just like Destiny did, where when you see a legendary, it rarely fucking matters.
Yep.
It rarely fucking matters. It's crap to you more than likely. It's something you're going to go and chew up and spit out and hopefully make 20 gold off of.
Yep.
More gold than you would get if you vendored it. Which sometimes you look at the fucking ratio and you're thinking, man, I should have just vendor crapped that.
Yeah.
I would have got 110 gold. I'm only going to be getting like 50 gold out of this. These fucking these 4 ore that I've got.
Because they drip fed the gold. Because now the ultimate only thing that you want to do with your gold is buy that coin at the end of the month. And it takes 100,000 gold. And so now you're seeing stuff like regularly what I was selling with my jewel crafting, which, by the way, in Wrath of the Lich King, jewel crafting was one of the top money makers. Because people, first of all, the gear always dropped with slots once you reached a certain progression in the end game. And then on top of that, you were constantly getting upgrades with multiple slots. So you were having to get like 6 gems at a time, maybe 3 for an upgrade, but 6 overall, right? And you would want the end game gems, which were...
also jewel crafting allowed you to add a jewel slot to one of your pieces of gear, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that anymore either.
No. And so, but the contrast of it is like back in Wrath of the Lich King, you felt like this certain progression where a new expansion would drop and a new recipe would drop for an upgraded gem for the new raid. And then next thing you know that, and I'm not going to lie, it would bottom out because certain people, once the demand for it drops, but it never felt so drastic. Like back then with jewel crafting, you could easily make the money for North Run Flying, which was the most pricey thing ever. You could get that with jewel crafting with like 2 weeks of hard farming. In this, what I was doing was selling...
That's another thing they time locked off is flying.
Oh, yeah. But that's not even behind the wall that it used to be, because back in the day, it was in the game, you just had to buy it.
Yeah.
Now it's like you have to do it behind achievements, and reputations, and like the Pathfinder.
And only when they decide you can.
Yeah, when they've added it into the game, and if you have the Pathfinder achievement...
They will decide when you can fly in this game that's been built with flying in mind.
From the second expansion.
Yep.
Like, holy hell. Talk about taking 10 steps backwards, dude.
Yeah, because you can tell when you're going around this map and navigating it on the ground and any of these zones, especially the Alliance area, Kultiris, over there, you can tell that they built it with flying in mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because the roundabout routes you have to take to get up onto these mountains and shit is fucking time consuming.
Oh, yeah.
They are fucking with your time. They are fucking with your time by saying you can't just buy a flight paths and be able to fly right out of the gate. No, you gotta wait until you get this achievement. You gotta wait until you hit Exalted with all these people. And you gotta wait until we decide we're gonna release it in the game.
Yep.
When we decide.
Oh, yeah.
Just like they decided that this fucking Tides of Vengeance fucking expansion, it didn't need to come with the new raid. The new raid can wait until January 22nd.
Yeah.
The raid that they themselves fucking talked about in relation to this fucking update at BlizzCon. The fucking goddamn raid that they fucking said was going to be included with this. No, you'll get it January 22nd.
January 22nd, normal and heroic difficulty.
Then, January 29th, you'll get Mythic difficulty and Raid Finder Wing 1.
So
then,
that means if you're running
so you're gonna have to play this for a literal month. From the 29th to February 26th, almost a full month, almost a full 4 weeks, you're gonna have to play this game before you're able to run the entire raid through the Raid Finder.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
And not only
Why?
that, yeah.
Like, why can't they just release the whole raid in the Raid Finder? Why does it have to come in waves? Because they want your subscription money.
Yep.
This is a game that has now evolved from being it's evolved into this simplified cookie cutter fucking things where everything blends together, everything feels the same.
Everything is drip fed to you. Even content.
Yeah. And it's gotten everything.
Everything is drip fed into the game.
Gear is drip fed to you. Content is drip fed to you. Reputation is drip fed to you. I remember back in the day, you could go farm rep. If you wanted to farm rep, there was an enemy somewhere that was associated with that rep that you could kill to gain reputation with that faction. Did this take time? Sure. Was it a low amount of rep per enemy killed? Sure. But you weren't told to stop farming reputation for the day and come back tomorrow when there's more world quests. Right? Yeah. It wasn't like you must stop farming reputation.
You stop now.
You stop. You've had enough.
You've gotten all of the things
you've done your world quests. Come back tomorrow. What does that sound like? You've gotten your daily powerful rewards. Fuck off, kid. Come back tomorrow.
Yep.
Fuck you, Activision. Fuck you, King Games. And fuck everything you've done to all of the fucking companies that we love. All the games that we love. Because when you look at the Halo series, I, as an outsider who's only briefly played those games, I can look at it and say that Bungie once gave a shit. When I look at World of Warcraft as someone who experienced the expansions from fucking tail end of BC to fucking all that shit, I can tell you straight up that Blizzard once gave a shit. And both of these companies no longer give a shit. And the common denominator is Activision fucking Entertainment.
Yep.
So there you go. Way to fucking take everything and turn it into a fucking franchise cow with a McDonald's Happy Toy that you only get if you come in tomorrow. Come in tomorrow. Come in tomorrow and get your pointless fucking shit that means fucking nothing. That's just a number that we've arbitrarily decided is the most important factor in this RPG. Is a number. Not player choice. Not fucking goddamn extended skill trees with multiple paths and options to take throughout. No, it's a fucking number. That's all it is.
Yep, that's really all
it is. That's RPG now. RPG, all you got to do is have a number.
And
the enemies have a number, and that's the fucking RPG elements right there.
Yep.
Your number versus their number. Oh, your number's not high enough? Well, go kill some enemies of this number until your number is up to this number.
Yeah.
And then you can fight these enemies to get your number up to this number, and then you can finally fucking do something. And by then you're so burnt out on this game, you no longer give a shit, you unsubscribe to fucking goddamn World of Warcraft, you fucking uninstall Destiny 2, and you walk on fucking by. And that's when these goddamn companies will get the fucking message that we're not fucking taking mediocre garbage anymore. We're done with mediocre garbage because we've stopped putting our money into mediocre garbage. We've stopped putting our time into mediocre garbage. We've stopped putting our energy into mediocre garbage. And then maybe they'll be forced to fucking innovate again. How fucking tragic would that be?
Oh yeah, to actually change and make
actually
some meaningful shit.
Have to think and work.
Yeah.
Not just pay a fucking handful of artists to design a new reskin texture, pack it up in a loot box, and call it a holiday event. You pathetic fucks!
Reskin characters that were in the base version of the game! And then lock them behind a month grind.
And then start them at level 20 in Orgrimmar or Stormwind.
In Vanilla WoW.
Good fucking, oh my god.
Oh,
The innovation. The innovation. A new passive. Impressive. Content.
Even the raids, man. I was a tank and it was like, oh, I don't need to be here because there's another tank here and he can do... He can solo tank for
Can
the
we
first
just
4
talk about how
bosses.
dumb it is that one of the key features of this update, this Tides of Vengeance update, is new legacy armor transmogs?
Yeah. And isn't that just shit that was already in the game?
You get Blood Elf and Dwarf heritage armor now. It's just cosmetic.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect the gameplay. But it's a highlighted fucking feature on this goddamn post that I'm looking at right now. Cosmetics.
Yep.
Woo!
Pokemon Battle Pets.
Woo! Reskinned Warfront. Woo!
Island expeditions that drop not only cosmetics, but pets and mounts. Woo!
I give a fuck. I care.
That's what it all boils down to now. It did
Needless
not
to
used
say,
to feel this way. It
yeah.
just feels shallow, drip-fed. The highlighted content is kind of pointless, meaningless aesthetics. It's cookie cutter, and it kind of feels like they don't want to add any depth, because if they do that, then, you know, it was like
work
Legion.
With balancing. They gotta work with
it was like
work.
with Legion when they added the depth of the artifact weapon, and then they got rid of that to add the depth of the Azeroth powers, and they'll probably get rid of that to add the depth of something else. And instead of like expanding and adding and making it feel like a, I don't know, it's just yeah,
Activision garbage.
Garbage. It's crap.
It's Activision King Games garbage. Mobile phone trash.
Yep. And everybody is like, oh my god, that Vanilla WoW server. Oh, I can't wait to run this shit on the Vanilla WoW server. What do you think is going to be better about it? Is it because it's Vanilla WoW? Because I don't think that's impressive. Because if you look at the Vanilla WoW before Kata and after Kata, it was like a general thing with the after Kata being a good move. Because they added like a switch up and changed the environment and changed how the quests look and everything. But I mean, now it's just like, oh, now they're going to reintroduce just the base version of the game with the same raids, the same dungeons, without the life improvements.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
They're re-releasing WoW. They're charging $15 a month to re-release the game that came out fucking 10 plus years ago.
And have fun with that doing fucking AQ40. Have fun with that. That's all I'm going to say to these idiots who are just like, it's going to be so good. Like, I understand where your nostalgia is coming from.
I'm glad that they're going to find enjoyment out of it. It's going to be a better game than BFA. It's going to be a better game than BFA.
There's going to be some scrubs on there.
Yeah,
dude.
but it's going to be a better game than BFA. Vanilla, them re-releasing their old stuff is going to be a better content pack. More flavor and spice to the gear, more flavor and spice to the talent trees, more flavor and spice to the classes than their brand new content drop.
It's true. I hate to say that, but
good
that
job,
is
Liz.
a good point.
Good fucking job. Alright guys, that's our thoughts on the Tides of Vengeance content pack. It's bullshit, the game's bullshit, the company is bullshit. I'm done playing games that are mediocre and garbage.
That just puts you
I'm
in
done
the rat
I'm done funneling money into this. The same way I'm done going to fucking big blockbuster movies.
Oh yeah.
Though at some point we all have to realize that if you hit this point where you're as sick as me, you probably aren't, because that's why my channel is so small. Like, you're probably not. You're probably one of the 100 or so people that watch my channel with any frequency, right? Our channel. That's who you are. You got to realize that the only way to stop this is to stop giving them money for this. Put your money, when you have money and you want to buy new games, you want to spend not even just your money, but your time. Because dead servers full of nothing but whales and these hardcore fucking people who don't understand what a good game is going to be a loud ass message.
Oh yeah.
All those $15 a month that they're getting, when those cut in fucking half, when a lot of those people leave and stop paying for this shit, you know,
oh, they'll fill
that's
it.
when it'll change. That's when it'll fill it. That's when they'll fill it. That's when they're going to be like, okay, we need to try something new. And they're going to keep getting it wrong for a while because someone is in the kitchen and they're telling them the recipe that they want. And these poor bastards are having to succumb to that voice. They're having to succumb to that. That is their Lord and Savior, Activision. That is the one that they are beholden to. And until we send a message to Activision, which the Diablo Immortal clash or blowback was an excellent start.
Oh yeah.
Excellent start. That might do things for Diablo as a series that you wouldn't have seen because they weren't talking about Diablo 4 until after that backlash. So that might pull this series forward. We need the same sort of thing happening with every fucking game that you can tell is being held back by oversimplified bullshit mobile daily mechanics that make up the entirety of the fucking progression system. Fuck your time walls. Fuck your marketing things that then end up behind a time wall. Fuck you. That's it for us, Jackson.
Chubbz.
Take care, everybody. Till next time, be safe and fucking keep being awesome to everybody.